Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more.
Hey, John. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, Joanne? I looked away for one split second, and I looked back, and there we are. So, how you doing this evening?
Doing good. Thank God it's Friday. Oh my God, it was a long week this week.
I know, right? And it's like I think I was off 2 days in the middle of the week too, which threw me off. So it still feels like I've worked too many days in a row.
I just did not get any sleep this week. I think the older we get, the less sleep we get.
Well, you don't stop though after work. You've been to, were you at the forum for the Hispanic Republicans of Indian River just the other night?
Yeah. I went to the Hispanic Republicans Club and they did a really good job pulling it together with a lot of grassroots candidates. So it was fantastic. There were a lot of people there, and the grassroots candidates all had a table, so you got to talk to them. They all had a little spotlight moment where they got up and talked about themselves and shared what they bring to the table and who they are. And then the people had a Q&A at their tables right there, rotating around. So Sandra Rivera did a really good job pulling that together, and I like seeing that because it's bringing all those people in so that the community can have a reach. So that's why I went there. I was trying to record all of them, and now I've got little bits and pieces that I was working on last night late trying to get that out. So hopefully I'll have it out by tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know if our guest tonight, who is Steve Rance, was there or not, but maybe he can tell me if this is a good analogy or not. But I think with this new district carve out, Indian River County is like the prime rib for the conservatives. Like, this is what's going to make this a good meal here and finally switch this district, which is new to us, being underneath a Democrat held district. But, it's time to switch it. So, and that was the whole purpose, right?
Yeah, well,
And the redistricting. So
the whole thing's different for us, Mike, because it's like we used to just share the other district, which was a piece of Brevard County, and now we're grouped up. There's like a total of 7 districts now. So I kind of feel like I'm out of the water, you know?
well, I've explained it like this real quick, and it's US 1 is a major hub for us. It's north into Brevard, it's south into St. Lucie, and we're so close with District 8, right? It was which
Mhm.
was mainly Brevard, so it was still the main in and out. Now 60, really, I mean, it is a main in and out, but it's not. There's not like a municipality on the other end of 95 that everybody's traveling to
Yeah, well,
go to
60
work.
takes
So
us right through. We can get to Okeechobee, if we go south on what is that? 47, where is that? Okeechobee. When
441,
you
yeah,
441, you head
east side
south and
Johnson,
you'll
yeah.
yep, and then if you go west of that, then you can get to Polk County over there. And then Orlando, you can
So
once you get on the 75.
I and I think it's critical because, and I've said this last week, I believe, being the coastal county, the only coastal county now in this inland district, it definitely raises the stakes and
Mhm.
probably increases the mileage for some of these candidates now because you got to come over to the beach. So uh, last week we talked to Thomas Shalfo, Colonel Thomas Shalfo. This week we're going to be talking to uh, Steve Rance, who's got a military background also, I believe. And then next week,
Mhm.
I believe we're talking to Marcus Carter. But before we get into all that, let's hit up our sponsors for tonight's show. And when we come back, we'll get right to it with Steve Rance. Sound good?
Sounds good. Let's hit it.
All right.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Pippin, and I'm running for Indian River County Commission District 2. As a wife, mother, and longtime community advocate, I've spent years standing up for taxpayers, families, and government accountability. I'm running to protect our quality of life, support law enforcement, manage growth responsibly, and ensure your tax dollars are spent wisely. To learn more, request a yard sign, volunteer, or get involved, visit votejenniferpippin.com. Together, we can keep Indian River County the best place to live, work, and raise a family. I'm looking forward to earning your vote on August 18th.
I'm Dr. Jackie Rosario. I'm a mom and educator, and I'm honored to serve as your school board member for District 2. In 2022, I was endorsed by Governor Ron DeSantis as the common sense conservative voice on the school board, protecting parental rights, holding bureaucrats accountable, ensuring local control, school choice, and academic excellence for all students. As an experienced, qualified leader with proven results, I'll continue fighting for safe schools, academic excellence, and opportunities that prepare every student for college, careers in technical, vocational areas, military service, and life. Your voice matters and your vote counts. On August 18th, re-elect me, Dr. Jackie Rosario, to remain your school board member for District 2. Let's continue to reach and teach every child, every day, in every way. Visit reelectjackie.com for more information.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome back, Joanne, and we would like to introduce to you candidate for Florida's Congressional District 9, Steve Rance. Steve, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, Mike. How are you doing this evening?
Pretty good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so Steve, you are a pastor and a military veteran, and you're also a Trump supporter.
That's correct, Joanne. After I got out of the military, I accepted the call of God in my life and went back to Bible college and studied missions and things and became a pastor and done some foreign missions work and then came back and became a senior pastor of a church in Indiana. Yeah, we'll get into some more detail of that as we go along. But yes, I am a Trump supporter. He's been the only president in my lifetime to keep his promises, promises made, promises kept. And a little story about that too. The first time that he ran for president, he came down the escalator with Melania. I believe it was June the 16th of 2015. And I looked at the television screen and I said, that's going to be the next president of the United States. Not because that was my birth date, June the 16th, but because I just believed in what he was bringing to the table.
Yeah, and they make a beautiful couple. You know, they really, I'm proud to have them representatives of our nation, you know?
Well,
We
I am
needed a
too.
little bit of that after the Biden era.
My wife and I, we get accused of that too. So when I go to Brazil, people think that I'm Trump. So it's kind of funny. Must
So
be the hairdo.
I'm curious, how many years were you in the military, Steve?
I had given the military 20 years of my life. I graduated from high school in 1985, and then I gave the military 20 years of my life, and then after that I returned back to Indiana, where I was born and raised, and got involved in state and local government.
Were you were you in the Navy, the Marines,
No, I was in
Army?
the I was in the Air Force. I joined
Oh,
under the delayed enlistment program. I was actually I joined when I was 17 years old. When I graduated, I was 17 years old. I had to wait 1 month and 1 day before I could depart for boot camp. So I couldn't go right away. I had to give it a little more time.
so you were in, my husband was in for 25 years. He went in when he was 17 as well, but he was in the Navy.
The
Uh,
Navy. They say those are the two best branches. You know, the Marines and the Army. They're out there digging the ditches and sleeping in the dirt, and we're living in hotels and eating on gourmet food.
well, my husband said the Air Force did it right. When they got their budget, they built the ballroom, they built the kitchens, they built the playgrounds, and then they said, "Hey, we don't have any money for the barracks to sleep, so we need more money."
Always those extra appropriations.
Right. So, Steve, I don't know if you heard us talking prior to bringing you on, but um, Indian River County is a big deal. It's the base of our viewership, and I know you guys. I mean, all of you candidates are working hard because thank God you are. Because I mean, if you're at this day and age, it's either good or evil. I think, and if you're not supporting some of these policies, you're just not good. And but so with Indian River County in the new District 9, tell our viewers why Steve Rance should be the guy we pay our attention to coming up to the primary in August.
Well, that's a good question, and I'd be happy to answer that. I'm running because the hardworking families of the Ninth District are being squeezed from every direction, and Washington is completely devoid of moral clarity. We have an
We lost him.
borders
Oh,
not
oh,
closed.
there. Oh, look.
Are we there? Are we back?
Yeah. Oh, we're good.
All right.
Fine. There we go.
Fantastic. We had a little glitch there, but that happens sometimes. But here we are.
There
We're
we are.
fighting strong. So I was just saying that we have an open border still. And some would say that the border is closed because the border crossing is down, but the wall's not built. So the border is not secure. And the open border is what has been destroying our security. Inflation is crushing our retirees, and we have a political class here that cares more about corporate donors than they do actually about representing the people. So I'm running to be a shield for this type of thing and for this community. What set me apart from the others, it isn't a massive checkbook. There's a lot of people in this race that have an abundance amount of money. They're self-funded. They're throwing all this stuff in here. They're trying to make it look good. But what sets me apart is a lifetime of proven service. I might be like what you'd say in the Army. I'm boots on the ground. I've given my life to I've given my life to the country. I've given my life to the community as a pastor, and now I want to take that same resolve and be a fighter in Washington for District 9. My opponents, they kind of view this as a congressional seat, as something that's like a promotional trophy, something that they deserve, something that they've just because they lived around and been a part of this structure for a long time. I deserve this. Well, that's not what it's about. I view it as a continuation of my oath to God and country. I don't need a consultant to tell me what America First means because I've lived it. Grassroots leaders like Bill Olson, the former nominee of this district, have locked arms with me in this campaign because he knows, and the other people that have locked arms with me, they know that I can't be bought by a Tallahassee machine. That's not who I am. I'm a pastor, I'm a protector, and I'm ready to go to Washington to fight for your families, to secure our borders, and to restore the unyielding constitutional strength to our nation. And this is what we need in Washington. We need a fighter, not somebody that's just going to get in there, collect a paycheck, and warm the seat. We have too much of that.
You're right there.
Yeah, we do. And that's why it's so important for us to bring candidates on because we really want to know where you stand. And there's a lot of issues here today in our society. I know that you want to secure the borders and cut wasteful spending and uphold the Constitution. But outside of the regular, state issues that we have that everybody campaigns on, they campaign on the water, they campaign on taxes. They can't, those are all the regular things they campaign on, but there's all this stuff that's going on around us in our nation. And I like to ask the candidates, what are you seeing outside of our walls that really is affecting us, that it might be we're happening in another state, but it could be happening in our state, and we need to pay attention. I'll give you an example. We've got these data centers in Georgia that are going through properties and pulling up people's property through eminent domain. And that case is a little different because it's Georgia Power, uh, Georgia Electric out there that is facilitating the energy for the data centers, but the data centers aren't even in 5 of those counties that are being affected. So these types of issues can head to Florida because everybody's got their eye on Florida, as we know, because Florida is a constitutional state and everybody wants to move here now. So if you're going to be faced with those kind of issues and with the SB 484 that DeSantis put in place, it doesn't ban data centers from Florida. What it does is it regulates large data centers, but the loophole is the smaller data centers. So, how would you address that when these companies want to come here and say, hey, we've got a loophole? We can't build one huge data center, but we've got enough properties spread out that we could build 5 or 6 small data centers. And how's that going to affect the housing, eminent domain cases? I mean, it can get really ugly.
Well, the first thing that we can't do is we can't say that this is a local issue, and we can't blame it on to strictly onto zoning and all those type of things. But zoning is an issue at the local level. Congress can get involved in these things because Congress controls the purse strings of the nation. The first thing is data centers, wherever they go, whoever they are, and wherever they end up, they first of all need to be self-sustaining. They need to be bringing their own power. They can't piggyback on the backs of the taxpayer. We have to have ratepayer protection. That means that as a ratepayer, whatever a data center decides to use, my rates aren't going to go up. Matter of fact, my rates should be going down. But first of all, I oppose data centers. I don't believe that we should be bringing all these data centers into things. We have arguments in schools about AI and all this kind of stuff, and we just got to be proactive about these type of things. But yeah, that little loophole that's in there, it needs to be fixed, and it can be fixed. But the only way it can be fixed is if we have aggressive individuals that are sitting in Congress and sitting in our local legislature that's willing to take it on and say, no, this isn't for us. We don't want it. And the constituents that I talk with down in Indian River and Glades County and all these places, they don't want data centers. And you know what? As a representative of the people, I have to say we won't have data centers because that's the voice of the people and that's who I represent.
I still haven't figured out what we need them for.
Well,
We've made it
we
this long without them. Like, what do
Well,
we
you
need?
know why we need them. Data centers are the next bridge to full surveillance, because right now we have cameras going everywhere with the LPRs. They've got facial recognition. We even have cases popping up on social media of people being accused of stealing other people's mail because the flock camera AI identified the person as them because there was similarities in looks. So this
Yeah.
can lead to a lot of problems. How would you protect us from abuse of data center of flock camera usage in our state of Florida?
Well, I'm going to tell you a little story. When I was growing up as a youngster, I used to go out to my grandmother and grandfather's house out in the country. This is in Indiana. And there was a bright light always above my grandmother's house. And she would say, look, they're spying on us. We have to be careful what we do. We have to be careful what we say. Now, I don't know if that was one of those Google satellites or not, because now, with all of that, we've got GPS systems and all these things that define the roadway. I'm the old Rand McNally type guy. I'd pull out the map and get out the yellow marker and draw the lines and write down the exits, and away we'd go on a trip. But now we just plug it into our system and away we go. So, we can't just totally dismiss technology. And the military uses surveillance very heavy. If we didn't have surveillance, we wouldn't know what was going on in Iran right now. So we can't just totally dismiss what's going on. Now, as a protection for the U.S. citizen, we have that protection, and that's an invasive right for government to come in and the overreach of government to survey who we are, what we're doing, and even walking down the street. Other countries have set in place laws to where if you're being videoed, you have to be told. It has to be some sort of posted warning that's out there, but it can be intrusive. And I am for individual freedoms and individual rights. That's the Constitution. I'm not for all these flock cameras. I don't even like all these speed cameras that they put out there. Not that I'm breaking the law and speeding, but I think that maybe we shouldn't put so much into technology, and maybe we should put that money back into the pocket of the working American. Instead of having that surveillance camera out there, why don't we hire another individual to go out there and sit in a patrol car and do that type of surveillance? So what we got to be careful of is with these AI centers and all this digital stuff is that we're actually, we might be advancing in one way, but we're going backwards in another way. And we're taking jobs, we're taking responsibilities away from individuals, from human beings, from our citizens, and we're putting it into a computer system. So instead of having a computer system control us, we need to be the ones controlling the computer system.
Now,
Well
would you
said.
be in favor for stronger protections when it comes to whistleblowers, when it comes to the government intrusion into personal, well, like who is it, Assange, or one of those guys? I can't think of the name. I'm horrible with names. But some of those whistleblowers, government whistleblowers, when it comes to abusing intelligence like that.
Well, when intelligence is being abused, we have laws in place. When anything is being abused, then they should be taken and held to the fullest extent of the law through the judicial system. As far as whistleblowers are concerned, you know, when you see something wrong, then you need to speak up. Okay, that's what needs to be done. And when a person speaks up, there should be certain level of protections in place so that that person doesn't get abused themselves. So we can't just totally throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, okay, that's going to be this way or that way. There has to be provisions. There has to be certain limitations. Now, for somebody just to go out here and exploit things and try to get personal gain from it and all that kind of stuff, no, I don't agree with that. But as far as somebody exposing something that needs to be exposed, certainly I am in agreement with that.
Well, FISA has we've been having issues with Pfizer work because FISA has the surveillance in there, and they have the FBI and all the three-letter agencies have taken advantage of that and surveilled our own people. And so that's where you draw the line with the government because we understand that we need to be able to surveil our enemies, but the problem is that we have a government that takes advantage of it and surveils its people. I mean, a couple of years ago, I'll give you a local example. Polk County Sheriff was fighting to be able to expand his ability to look into people's privacy um, through the Fourth Amendment. He pretty much was stomping on the Fourth Amendment, and some of the congressmen up there wrote don't something about don't protect. I have a video on it, but something about don't stop the Fourth Amendment, something like that. They had to come up with a bill against him because he really was supporting. Uh, stepping on our Fourth Amendment because it made his job easier. And that's what
The red,
happens is a lot of the officers,
yeah.
even with the red flag laws, there should be no red flag laws because that violates your Fourth Amendment, your Sixth Amendment, your Seventh Amendment. It violates several amendments in that law. And we have the Baker Act. The Baker Act is kind of unconstitutional as well because you're being taken against your will, but at least you're not confiscating somebody's firearms or leaving their house without a firearm. And it targets just firearms. So if a person is wanting to hurt somebody and you have a red flag law and you take their firearms away and you leave them home, well, they have knives and pitchforks and they have axes and they have all kinds of other things if they really wanted to
Yeah.
harm somebody. I think the red flag law is just a leftist law that is aiming to take our firearms away somehow.
I think throughout all the law enforcement we've interviewed, almost every, I hate to say it, every cop wants that tool.
Hmm.
And no matter which side of the political landscape they fall on, which we mostly interview conservative ones, and they all choke up at the red flag law. And that's just it. I think it should be more accountability to it. My personal opinion, the sheriff should have a lot more to do with it, not a deputy and not a judge in almost a different time zone. So, did you have a question on that, Joanne? Before I move on
Yeah,
to my
like
next? Okay.
I just wanted to ask him, would he fight to put things in place that say you cannot surveil Americans without a court order and a reason to do it? because they're doing it without having a court order. They're just doing it.
I think in common access places, it's okay to have surveillance in those common access areas. But no, I don't think that anyone, even your next door neighbor, should be able to put a video camera in your window and surveillance you. I don't believe that. I don't. Some of these home protection systems that people have, not only are they surveying your property or their property, but they're also spying on you when you're out there swimming in your swimming pool. So things have gotten out of control. And there needs to be oversight with this. And yes, I would be a fighter to protect those rights of the American citizen. Like I said, in commonplace areas, yes, but your own personal privacy, no.
Mm. I got a question on Mike. Do you have a question?
Go for it, because I'm going to get into some nitty gritty stuff.
We're
Okay,
getting into the grit.
I had a. I wanted to ask an immigration question. Is that around where you're heading, or are you heading
It's a
somewhere
good
else?
lead into it. Go for it.
Okay, so I wanted to ask about immigration. What is your position on immigration reform? Is there any place for amnesty for people who entered the country illegally, or should there be a different path?
I am not for amnesty. Let me just back up and give you a little history of myself. I'm married to a Brazilian immigrant. Okay. We came through the process the legal way, as many others have come through the process the legal way prior to. So for someone to circumvent the system and to jump ahead is not due process for those that have come in here legally. So to have amnesty for somebody that has come into this country illegally, I'm sorry, but it's a drain on the taxpayer system. It's been a drain it's been a drain on the policies and procedures. We've had to focus legislation and energies and resources on fighting the illegal, where that money could have been used to process the legal ones that have come through the system the right way. And I'm talking about opening the borders the way that it was done in the Biden administration and flooding our country with thousands of people that did not come through the process the right way. There's a door. And for anybody that comes through the door and files, whether it's asylum or worker or spousal or whatever that situation is, you come to this country the legal way, there's a process and a place. You come to this country illegally, there's no place. I'm sorry.
Okay. I've got on the foreign policy side,
Okay.
as a member of Congress, there's a lot going on there. When you see votes to restrict the president's wartime abilities and stuff like that. With the conflict in Iran, which we saw the late Senator Lindsey Graham just returned from Ukraine, the conflict in Iran, now you throw the new intelligence with China and all this. Where are you on the foreign policy front when it comes to the active conflicts there? And where are you in our hemisphere when it comes to Venezuela, Cuba, and South Florida?
Well, the War Powers Act is formally the War Powers Resolution of 1973. Okay, it's a federal law that's designed to limit the U.S. president's ability to initiate or escalate any type of military action abroad without congressional consent. Now, understanding that when something or a situation happens, you just can't call a board meeting. As much as we would like to, you just can't call a meeting and say, okay, let's get everything together. And so in a situation like what has just happened in Iran, it got to a point to where previous administrations have not dealt with the situation properly. And this president took the bull by the horn and said, listen, they are so close to having a nuclear warhead that if they get this nuclear warhead, not only is it a threat to the United States of America, but it's a threat to the world. And we can see that. We see what Iran has been doing, bombing surrounding countries around them, neighboring countries. And once they would have a warhead, my friends, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. I can tell you that right now. So what this president has done is he has led. He has led this country in other places where other presidents haven't been able to do. Digressing into the other part of the question, you've talked about Venezuela. Uh, Venezuela was not an act of war. There was a court order that we had, and we were pursuing an individual, and with precise and military endeavors, this president was able to lead through the military, go in and grab a person that needed to be taken out. And because of that, we had Venezuelans in the streets of America rejoicing. My wife's Brazilian. When that dictator was taken out, the applause, it just lifted the roof of America, because this is something that needed to be done a long time ago. Previous administrations, the Democrat administrations, they just tried to get along and they put the blind eye to it. President Trump did not do that. He leads with action, and that's what I like about this man. Whether you like this man or not, you know what you're going to get in President Trump. And he has been the only president, like I stated before, in my lifetime to keep his promises and do what he said he was going to do.
That's pretty factual when it comes to this president. He definitely executed what he said he was going to.
Love him or hate him. Love him or hate him. You know what you got in President Trump, and that's what I like.
It's true.
And, I'm not trying to be a mirror there, but I'm kind of the same way. If I tell you something, if I say it, I'm going to do it. It might not happen just at that moment, but you can bet your bottom dollar at some point in time, it's going to take place, because that's the character that I bring to the table. I lead with confidence, but I also lead with understanding. I listen to the things around me. I pay attention to, and you got to do that as a leader. You just can't jump into action. You've got to be able to look at the picture and strategically figure out what's the best move. And by being that member in Congress and the House of Representatives and pulling our minds together, as a military man. And I'm not a politician, I'm a pastor, but I don't know everything. I'm not the smartest guy in America, okay? And I'm not claiming to be the smartest guy in America. But there's something that you learn in the military, and that is you surround yourself with all kinds of smart people. You surround yourself with people of different areas, so that when there's a situation happening, you pull the minds together, and then you come to the best resolve and the best solution to take care of the problem. And that's what this is about. It's about solving problems. And we've got too many people in Congress that get elected and they take the seat and they sit in it and they don't do a doggone thing. They just collect a paycheck. They don't write any bills. They don't pass any bills. They don't co-sponsor any bills. They don't push anything forward. And we've got a house full of that. We need a Congress that leads. Do you know, if we had a Congress that was doing their jobs, we wouldn't have to worry about all this wasteful spending that we're seeing in this country right now. We wouldn't have to worry about this wasteful spending that we've seen over in Minnesota with these Somalian schools, because Congress provides the oversight. And so if Congress is doing their job and providing the oversight, well, truthfully, we wouldn't need a Doge. Congress would say, hey, look, these schools aren't what they said they were. We're cutting off the funding. We're shutting it down. And then that resources and those monies wouldn't be wasteful spending money. It would go back into our budget. And we can balance the budget just by cutting out all this wasteful garbage that we've spent appropriations on. It's crazy. Why are we talking about this in 2026? We should have a government that's smooth. If you and I have to balance our own checkbook and we can't live in a deficit in our own home, why is our government doing that? We need to have a balanced budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and our budget is near 40 trillion now.
It's ridiculous. And they can't blame that on President Trump. You go back and look at previous administrations and you'll see that his numbers are lower than the Democrat administrations on the trajectory. Yeah, deportation. I'm for deportation. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. What am I saying? I'm sorry for. I'm not. That's just a terminology. I am for deporting criminal illegal aliens. I'm
Absolutely.
telling you.
Borders are in the Bible.
Look,
on that,
I have been endorsed. I have been endorsed by a sitting Congressman, Mark Harris. He serves on the House Freedom Caucus, okay? He's out of North Carolina, I believe the 8th District. He's the only sitting full-time pastor that sits in Congress, in the U.S. House of Representatives. He pastors his Trinity Baptist Church every Sunday. He's endorsed this campaign because he believes in me and he knows who I am. I've received a Gold Star family endorsement. Coral Doolittle, her son, Humberto Sanchez, he was one of the 13 soldiers that was killed at that debacle at Abbey Gate. And
That
she's
was sad.
endorsed. It was very sad, horrific. And I can't believe that the Biden administration would blame the Trump administration and President Trump for that debacle. That man was sitting in Congress, and it was the auto pen making the decisions. And this is why we see a country the way that we are. I don't want to go back to 4 more years of that Biden administration. It'd be worse than that. And if we
Oh, I know.
don't secure Congress red, my friends, that's exactly what's going to happen, and it's going to be worse. And so we need true conservatives in Congress that's going to fight for our conservative values. So Cora Doolittle, she's endorsed this campaign. And then an Angel family, Nikki Jones from right here in Florida, has endorsed this campaign because she knows the values that I uphold and stand for. Her husband, 1 year retired out of the military, was killed by an illegal alien. He was drunk. He blew a red light or whatever. He should have never been here. He had charges against him in the past. So we got an illegal alien, killed a retired service member, left this woman to raise her 3 small children by herself. And if we would have been enforcing our immigration laws, this man would still be alive and that family would be thriving today. These are the type of ridiculous things that we need oversight in Congress to take care of. And we need a fighter in Congress, not somebody that's just going to sit back and do whatever, give you some sort of political spiel on a podcast like this, and then get up there and be a do-nothing Doolittle. I'm not about that. I'm a fighter for Floridians.
Yeah, that's what we
awesome.
need. We need fighters because the fighters are the minority.
Yeah. On that note, we're going to go to our third sponsor for tonight's show, and we'll be right back with John from TGI Now podcast and IRC Media. And we have a couple of questions lined up also. I think you'll enjoy answering these. So we'll be right back.
All right.
There's a kind of strength you can't buy or borrow. It's born in the fire, tempered by sacrifice, and carried by those who never stopped serving. Some heroes wear uniforms. Others wear scars. They're veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families. Men and women who gave everything and still keep giving. At the Warrior Shield Foundation, we stand beside them, shoulder to shoulder, providing the support, the care, and the community they deserve. We're a proud non-profit, a 501c3, built to protect those who protect us. We don't just serve our own. We help other non-profits reach their missions too, because together, we make the Shield stronger. Donate and help our cause, help their cause, because every act of kindness builds hope where the battle still rages inside. Join the mission. Donate today. Visit warriorshield.org, because heroes deserve a foundation as strong as their sacrifice.
All right, and we're back. Yeah, that's a Warrior Shield Foundation. Me and Joanne went to their Warrior Weekend last year, and it was a great event. They had to change some things up this year because a lot of people were having a hard time traveling to Orlando for their event, but they kind of did some changing. But check them out at warriorshield.org. They do great things, and they bring great people together, like the guys from Benghazi and Colonel Gadsden. There's so many of them. I always forget the names. I feel like I don't do them justice. But welcome back, Steve. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. You guys don't have to give us the time of day, but it's a great opportunity for you guys. Being Vero Beach is now new to this giant area that we're not used to being a part of. We kind of feel like that sore thumb sticking out there. So one of our viewers, George Collin, he's also a contributor from time to time, especially when it comes to addiction recovery and stuff like that.
Nice.
This is a big field he is concerned in, and he's constantly working with Tom Homan and Derek Maltz, I think is his name, is really good friends with his. So he's really concerned about what would you do for Vero Beach and the district when it comes to, I guess, like the behavioral health and the addiction scene when it comes to the drugs and stuff like that. What are you going to bring to the table for Vero Beach?
Well, first of all, Congress needs to take a serious look at the mental illness crisis that we're facing in this country. It's something that cannot be overlooked. It's been pushed off to the side for so long. Let me just start here. I remember as a teenager, this was back into the 80s, okay? Just take a walk down memory lane with me, if you will, for a moment. Back in the 80s, the states used to have mental hospitals that housed those that needed types of help that we're talking about today. But the Democrats got the bright idea that they were going to cut that out of the budget and close these institutions down and turn individuals like this out into society, because there were some that didn't need to be in those type of institutions. And so what this done, it created a burden on society. It throwed, you've got a mother and a father raising a mentally ill child, okay? Someone that has a cognitive disability that they can't control. And now mother and father passes away, and this child is left out in society to fend for their own. Nowhere to take care of them. They become a burden to the police. They become a burden to hospitals. They become a burden to nonprofit organizations and into society. So, first of all, I don't believe that the institutions should have been closed, because they were providing a help for these individuals that suffered from severe mental illness. And not only do we have individuals that suffer from severe mental illness, but we have individuals that suffer from criminal severe mental illness, those that have committed crime. They've murdered somebody, or they've done something horrific that classifies them into the criminal system. Now, I believe there are still institutions that house criminally mental ill individuals. Okay, but this is what we're seeing. This is what we're seeing in society today. So I believe that Congress and federal government and state and local government need to take a look at maybe opening up facilities that can provide protection. And what has this done? It's also created a problem for the homeless. It's created a situation where these individuals are now homeless. And Florida has a problem with homeless, just like California has a problem with homeless. Except, I don't know, Governor DeSantis controls it a little better than they do the streets of California. I don't know if you've been out to California and see the way that it's handled out there, but you know, it's a cesspool of tents and feces and all kinds of things, and it's just not controlled. So we need proper legislation that's passed to address the mental illness in this country. And I need to be with like-minded individuals on Capitol Hill that we can write this legislation and get it passed so that we can provide it. Listen, it's an injustice to these individuals and to these homeless individuals, especially those that are suffering from mental illness, that we're not providing some sort of care for them. We're just leaving them on their own to fend for themselves. That's not a justice to them, and it's certainly an injustice to our society. So I'm in favor of.
You know, Steve, you make a good point. Trump did talk about that because, you know, back when I was growing up, they did have the mental facilities, but that's when Geraldo Rivera, was it is that his last name, Geraldo? He went out and visited these facilities, and the care in the facilities was atrocious, and that's pretty much what shut down those facilities. Is it was abusive. They weren't giving them baths. Some of them were naked. Some of them, it was just
and that's
atrocious.
a problem with management. That's a problem with management.
Yep.
Again, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Just change your managers. Change the structure of the system. If you've got people in positions of leadership that are abusing these type of things, then They ought to be held accountable. And this is the problem with society today. There is no accountability. People can go off and do whatever they want, and there's no recourse to it. Boy, I'll tell you what, when I was a kid, if I went off and did something that I wasn't supposed to do, boy, I got to switch off the weeping willow tree. And my dad wasn't afraid to say, hey, I'm your dad and I'm the authority in your life and you're going to listen to me. And that's the problem with society today. We've raised a generation or two of individuals that think that there's no recourse for their wrongdoing. They need spankings. You know what? We've got a president, Donald Trump, that's not afraid to be a disciplinarian in this country. And boy, he passes out spankings to these Democrat legislatures left and right, and they don't like it. And that's why they rebut him on everything. I told you I get loud when I get excited.
That's good.
Glad we fixed your mic.
Do you have? I've got other questions, but do you have something you want to jump in there, John?
I just want to go back to when you started. Obviously you're very passionate, and I appreciate that as you're passionate about all these subject matters, the flock cameras, the mental illness crisis that we have, these hospitals that were closed, and to your point, Joanne, Geraldo Rivera did that on purpose to start to close these places down. He did that to find certain pockets of places where the care wasn't the right care for that time, and it was management, and they just did that on purpose to show the public as mass psychosis that, oh, these are no good, these places need to be shut down. It was all by design. You got to remember that he was part of the propaganda machine and still is. So you got to watch where this stuff is coming from, even back then, not just now, but back then. Though he was part of that too. So he's part of the swamp and the rest of these idiots that want to push propaganda and push a certain narrative to get things closed. So that was part of that. I just wanted to throw that in there.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, that's what they do. And so that's what you have to go back and go, oh, wait a minute, there was a reason why they did that.
Right. Instead of fixing the problem, they shut it down, and now we have all these people on the streets.
Exactly.
That sounds like a very
created a bigger
democratic
problem.
move.
They created a bigger problem. They're not, listen, this party, the Democrat Party of yesterday is not the Democrat Party of today.
No, Fetterman's trying to bring it back.
I'll tell you what, my dad was a union man, and he believed in the union dollar. He was a diehard Democrat. He died at the age of 56 of cancer. And he would always tell me, listen, Democrat money has raised this family. The union dollar has raised this family, so we're loyal to the party. So I grew up a Democrat, thinking that's the way that it was. I didn't come to my senses until later on in life, when I realized, hey, these aren't the values that I really stand for. And if my dad were alive today, I guarantee you he would not be a part of the so-called Democrat Party of today. Yeah. This is not the Democrat Party of JFK, I can tell you that.
You know, I never understood why it was the Democrat Party that the Republicans didn't support the unions, because in like a state like Florida, if you didn't have unions standing up for people, the people here would take advantage of people because they could do whatever they want, and they already do it now. They fire people with no reason at all, or they force people to do things that they shouldn't be doing because they can. And so I think unions have a place. They just got corrupted by the Democrat Party. I think anything the Democrat Party puts its hands on, it corrupts it and says, hey, you can earn more money by being an activist for this and an activist for that. And I think that's what ruined the unions' reputation, because they got really big. But as a Republican, I came from a Democratic family because I'm Puerto Rican, and but my dad was a very angry Democrat, and he hated white people. So when I got old enough, at least I felt like he hated white people, because Mr. Williams, the alcoholic Irish guy, my dad had nothing good to say about that man in our building. But I listened to that, and I was like, it's so hateful, like you're hating people. And when I learned about the Republican values, I really aligned with them. So when I was 18, I became a Republican right away. And so I still think, to me, the Republicans are for the working class, and that's why I said that. I never understood why the union is more Democrat, because if you're paying dues for somebody to represent you, to negotiate for you, because the working class are the smaller people. Look, we can't go up against our government. Our government controls us, basically. We can fight back, but that's what they did to the J6ers. The J6ers, they broke them. They had to empty out their savings. They had to empty out their 401ks just to defend themselves against a corrupt government. And that's terrible. So there's a point where you do need representation from somebody. And I think the unions really should be under a Republican representative.
So, I'm sorry. George is super frustrated with our local oversight and accountability. So when it comes to his experience investigating these kinds of things with law enforcement, he feels like he's talking on deaf ears when politicians come to town or they come for their little speaking engagements, and then when they leave, Vero Beach kind of gets tucked away, or Indian River County, like until it comes time to fundraising. So when it comes to Vero Beach, would you encourage their lawmakers to do the voluntary Doge, the audit going around the state? Would you wield your influence over local municipalities and lend your advice when it comes to property taxes, which is my next question, which is a big question I have for all of our
We
candidates.
do need it here.
As a Florida resident, are you in favor of the Amendment 3 that's going to be on the ballot? And would you advise local elected officials to be pro for it?
Yes, I am for the elimination of the property tax. I don't believe that a person, when they own their home, should have to continue paying rent on their home for the rest of their life. So I am in favor of the elimination of the property tax. I think that that's going to be balanced out by, and I believe we're going to see this when it happens at a future date, but I think you're going to see a consumer tax that's going to happen so that it's balanced out, and that consumer tax is more level. That tax would be a tax where it's based upon what you consume versus just because you're existed in an area. For example, people are paying taxes. We've heard this for years, for generations now. You know, I don't have any kids, but I'm paying school taxes, and my kids are already raised. We hear all these type of things, but when it comes to the budgets, this is going to be a local issue, and it's going to be up to the commissioners and the council to trim and streamline their budgets. CFO Blaze is working on this right now. He's exposing waste within city and county governments right now that it just doesn't need to be there. And this is all part of cutting out the wasteful spending. If we can cut out wasteful spending and adapt to living within our budget, then it's just like you and me. We got to live within our means. You know, I can't eat a steak dinner every night. My retirement won't let me do that. I can't afford that. So, and if I do that, then I'm going to create that deficit, and that's going to be a problem. So we have to live within our means. And so what local government is going to have to do is they're going to have to look at the resources that they're providing. And I would say just study it very close and don't cut out those essentials. There's I think right now, one of the counties here in Orange County or something, they put a freeze on hiring deputy sheriffs because they think that there's going to be a cut in the property taxes. So you've got to look at it. And it's the same way at the federal level. Like I mentioned before, cutting out the wasteful spending, projects and things that, here's a good example in the military. In the military, when a budget was drafted and you didn't use all of that money in the military, they would use that money to just frivolously spend on other things just because they wanted the bigger budget next year.
Yeah, they do that still.
We have to get away from that mentality. That mentality is a mentality of yesteryear, and all it does is pad a budget, and it costs us and our children and our grandchildren, and we're paying for it now. The reason why our taxes are higher now is because of wasteful spending yesterday. So somebody has to start the ball rolling somewhere. And so we have to have people in legislature positions that's going to put their foot down and say, we're not going to do it this way anymore. And this is how we're going to correct it. We're going to solve the problem. We're going to sharpen the pencil, put it to the paper, and we're going to balance these budgets. We're going to cut out the wasteful spending. So
you're a no on You're a yes on cutting property tax, but a no on raising taxes, though, right?
I'm a no on raising taxes. I don't think by raising taxes that's going to suffice. Look, it's just like what we talked about before. You can't do it over here and then throw the problem over here. It doesn't work that way. We have to have a resolve. We've got to fix it. And so we've got to put our minds together and come in with that energy, that positive energy, and put it to work and make it happen. These are the things that are not happening. Everybody looks at a problem and says, that's too big, let's look over here. Let's solve this one. Oh, I can handle this one. We need people that are going to come in and tackle the problems like President Trump has done and say, this might be a big problem, but I'm a big boy and I'm going to put on my big boy pants and let's fix it. And that's what I like to see. That's the type of fighter I am.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we will be fine because we're still going to be paying taxes. It's just a homestead exemption that's helping.
Right.
It's going to help out.
It doesn't cut out all those taxes.
You
still got your fringes. Yeah.
And it's going to help out mostly the lower income earners, the people that have budgets, the
Worked
retirees.
hard for their house.
That's right.
Who didn't plan for their property value to boom.
Look,
And
my mom is 84 years old. Why should the property taxes of her home be more than a mortgage payment? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. 84 years old, she's got more things to think about, end-of-life things that she needs to be focusing on and not paying rent to the government to live and be able to, or be scared that she can't pay these things and be, cast out of a home. This is ridiculous. And these are the problems that our seniors are facing every day. And it's not right. It's not right that government puts this on the back of our senior citizens. Who's going to stand up for these people? If we don't get fighters in office, it's just going to keep happening. That's why we need people that are willing to take on this challenge and do the job that the people hire them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to these conservatives? I quote that. You can't see it. But these conservatives locally elected who are trying to scare the public to vote no on Amendment 3.
Stop scaring the public and start doing your job. That's the answer right there. Don't throw it on the back of the voter. It's enough of this hogwash. We've seen this time and time again, not just in Florida, but across communities throughout the United States. These scare tactics have to stop. Why like myself, why can't a person run a campaign on their own merit? Why do they have to go out here and do all these things that are trying to scare people into something that's, the Bible tells us we worry about things that we ought not be worrying about. Why don't we put our focus on today and put these cares into the hands of Almighty God for tomorrow? Let's not worry about those things. Let's do what we need to do today, and by doing the things right today, we are solving our problems for the future.
We have a viewer comment that this is a state question. You're absolutely right. But we are electing residents of the state who wield that influence over local politicians. And they all want to claim the conservative flag in a conservative district to get that conservative job. And this is my litmus test for any politician. Are you for or against cutting taxes? And to me, it's a no-brainer in this day and age, especially with the property value boom that blue-collar folks like myself didn't budget for when I bought my property 10 years ago. I didn't expect it to be $500,000 more than what it was. And, it just... I mean, John, you're a property owner. Joanne, I think we're all property owners here.
I mean, since COVID, my payment's gone up every year since COVID. I mean, I refinanced my house at March of 2020, got it all the way down to a good mortgage rate, and then my payment's gone up like almost $150 like every year. So it's it's insane. So it's like,
well, fortunately, I have a VA loan, so I fall into the same thing. So I do the IRL. And I'm for veterans benefits, and this is a fantastic thing. So when I bought this house that I'm in right now, my interest rate had skyrocketed to almost 8% or something like that. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm down to a 5.25. Yeah. My other home that I mortgaged, I never touched it. I bought it earlier, and I'm at a 3.25. Interest rates have got to come down, and President Trump is working hard on this. And I believe that we're going to see interest rates drop. Right now, because of the Iran war, things are kind of put on a hold status. But listen, This president has given leeway for, and he's given the Iranians all the rope that they need to hang themselves, and they've proved it, that they can't be trusted and they can't keep their word. And so he just didn't jump in and tackle these things. Okay, let's give them time. Let's give them time. Let's give them time. So they can't say that our president's a warmonger. He's not. He's doing everything in a fashion of negotiation, and now he's dropping the hammer. You can't be trusted. You can't do this. We're going to fix it, and we're going to bring it back where it needs to be. And it's the same thing. All of those things drive the cost down here at home. So we have to be supportive of this type of stuff so that we can bring these costs down at home, bringing jobs back into the district. You don't hear this much anymore, but we need to be looking at local manufacturing. We need to be bringing jobs back into District 9. And we need to be supporting local businesses, not putting more regulations on them that stifle business and they have to close. All of these things compile into a pot that cost the taxpayer money. And if we don't, the local businessman, those mom and pop shops, they are the very core that drive American values. If it wasn't for mom and dad and grandma and grandpa having these shops, then we wouldn't have a country, because they are the economic foundation of all of our communities.
You guys got anything else? I think we hit them. We threw some hard balls, and I think we're touching on a lot. I mean,
so
do you have anything else?
What did you think about Trump's speech the other night? And it was really focusing hard on election integrity and China messing with our elections. And I was almost feeling like we're heading for a Cold War, the way he was talking.
Well, here's my thought on that. One, first of all, I'm very saddened by the decisions that are coming out of our Senate. We shouldn't even be talking about the Save America Act. This is something that should have been done a long time ago, and since it's not, it should have been done right now in this Congress. There is no reason, absolutely no reason whatsoever, why a U.S. citizen shouldn't have to show a proper ID to cast their vote for an elected official in this country. Let me give you this example. I'm a veteran. We've established that in this podcast. And I went to the Home Depot the other day, okay? And I was buying some goods there, and I got ready to make my purchase. And at the Home Depot, you punch in your phone number, and it brings up, if you've submitted your information, it brings up that you're a veteran, and you get a discount, okay? So I go to the Home Depot to get my discount. Well, I left my wallet in the car, and the young lady comes up, and she said, sir, I can't give you a discount unless you show your ID. And I said, would you be willing to make a video with me on this? And she said, yeah. So listen, I said, I went out to my car and I got my ID, all right? I had to show my ID that I'm a veteran to get a 15% discount at the Home Depot. But an illegal alien can go in under the auspices of somebody else's name and vote, and for the highest position of the United States of America, can vote for president, can vote for Senate, can vote for Congress and the House of Representatives, and not show an ID? What is wrong with this system? My wife is an immigrant. Do you know the extent of the paperwork that we had to fill out and show ID and documentation after documentation to get her a valid ID card, so that when she goes places, she has to show her ID? And I told the ladies this at the last forum that I was at. I said, ladies, listen, I know you know how to shop, because the Democrats want to say, oh, we're going to disenfranchise the woman voter, the lady voter. No, listen, ladies, you go into these stores, you go to these clearance racks, you find all these sales, you know how to do this stuff. If you can do that, you can find a document to go and get a legal document to make yourself a legal document so you can vote in the United States elections. This is all hogwash, my friends. Don't let these Democrats tell you that it's suppressing the vote. What it's doing, it's costing them an election, because they don't have cheaters anymore that can come in and pull the Democrat ticket. And that's where I stand on that. I don't think we should be talking about the Save America Act. By God, it should have been done, and it should have been done a long time ago. And this Senate needs to take the backbone that they were elected to do and pass the Save America Act.
I agree. This is like a no-brainer, and it should have been drafted and voted on before the president was even done swearing in and before he picked up his pen. It should have been a no-brainer. I think that the other side of this, a lot of people don't realize, and I kind of beat the dead horse about it, is the illegals counted on the census. Do you think the illegals in your district should be counted on the census? Because that has a lot to do with how many representatives you have.
The illegals shouldn't even be here, so why would we count them on a census? It makes no sense to me.
Exactly.
Right. It's a no-brainer.
They're not supposed to be
this
here.
is the underlying.
Here's the thing, and I come from an agricultural background. I was born and raised in Logansport, Indiana, rural county. And listen, every time we planted a crop, we had to do something. As a child, I had to go out and weed the garden. And this is what needs to happen. The weeds are growing in this country, and somebody's got to go out and weed the garden. So we need gardeners in Congress that can get the job done.
I like that analogy.
Makes sense.
You're definitely right. I think I've hit every talking point I had lined up, and then a few questions that were sent to me. So I really do appreciate you taking these questions, Steve.
I have one last ugly one.
Give me the ugly.
So this is a real concern for me because, and also my guests, my viewers, my friends, we've got Sharia law that is just infesting our nation. We see what's happening in Europe, London, France, and we have, like Texas, we have a school voucher system. How do we prevent? Because in Florida now, Sharia law has been banned.
Thank God.
How do we prevent our school vouchers from being used in mosques in their classrooms where imams come in and teach Sharia law?
Because when we see that first voucher cashed in a mosque and going towards that type of education, the funding stops. We cut the purse string. No more funding. Bottom line.
Would you support federal legislation?
You betcha.
That?
You betcha. First of all, I'm a Christian, okay? Christian and Islam, they don't mix, okay? That's my personal Christian value. And I lived in Ghana, West Africa as a missionary on a foreign field, and I see what Islam has done to countries, okay? It's not pretty. Islam is not a religion. Islam is a cult and it's a movement, okay? And what we have to do is we have to be very cautious about this. And when we give permission for all these mosques and things to be built, I think we're building the biggest Trojan horse inside the walls of this country that we've ever seen. And we better be careful about this. We need to be extremely careful about this. I don't think that when we talk about freedom of religion, that it falls into that because, like I said before, I don't see Islam as a religion. I see it as a cult. It's an indoctrination. It's something that's destroying this country from the inside out, and this government has allowed it to happen. And we need to put a stop to it, and we need to put a stop to it right now.
Now, the scary thing, Steve, is that we've had so many Islamic Muslims take office. They're taking office locally and they're swearing on the Quran. There's nothing more disgusting for me to see is someone swearing on the Quran. That is not swearing.
Well, first of all, we need to write legislation that the Quran cannot be used. The Quran, it could not be used in this country because we are founded on Christian principles. And you know what a Christian is? A Christian is simply this. A Christian is a follower of Christ and his teachings. Okay? I'm sorry, but Islam doesn't fall under that jurisdiction. We are a Christian nation founded on Christian principles, and we ought not be putting our hand on any book but the Bible to be sworn into public office.
And we should. Would you agree with legislation that says Islamic followers cannot take office?
I would support that wholeheartedly. Like I just said, this is a Trojan horse inside the walls of our country, and we're only asking for trouble. Look at the leadership that we've got right now. It's the lack of leadership. These three that are in there, they're not leaders. They're destroying the walls of our government. They're tearing apart the fabric, the core fabric that built this nation. There's no place in our society for this.
Yeah, the tolerance is eroding values, what the nation was actually built on.
Exactly.
Pastor Josh Howerton did an excellent podcast actually this last week with an author I didn't know about until now, Raymond Ibram, and exposing that. Like, most people have that conception that Islam is compassionate. No, this is what they're told to tell you and act like. But, yeah. So I think that's a great question. And thank you for saying that out loud. A lot of politicians want to beat around the bush when it comes to our Christian values. And
well, Mike, that's like I said. We need elected officials that are going to be leaders. We don't need any more followers or seat warmers, and I'm a leader. And love him or hate him as well, Randy Fine. Randy Fine is a friend of mine, and he has tackled this issue head on, and I applaud him for it.
I know I'll get punched in the back for that. I like Randy's fire. I know there's a lot of controversy behind him, but I mean, if you're not popping, you're not doing. If you don't have haters, you're not hitting the target.
Exactly. Somebody's got to be after you because you're not doing something right. So if you're doing things right, you're going to have haters, and I'm sorry about that. That's just the way it works. But you know what? I'm a pastor, and I love you anyway.
Well, we need people that are willing to fight for America, and just fighting for America sometimes means you have to get a little bit ugly. You have to say what's really happening, tell the truth. This is not a good thing for America, and they're opening mosques everywhere. In Florida, Tampa, my brother used to live in Temple Terrace. That's pretty much run by Muslims now. It's they've got a big mosque over there, and they're advertising on social media that they have schools there. Come here, move to Tampa. It's coming to Florida, and we need to be ready to protect it and stand up and fight hard.
We better be ready. We're taking a stance on data centers. And I can tell you, data centers are not as worse as a mosque. So if we're going to cut out data centers, then we might as well put them both on the same page. And let's just say we're banning both. I'm telling you right now, it's a Trojan horse. Now, mark my word, believe me or not, all you have to do, whether you're a believer or not, just go in and read the Bible. See what the Bible has to say about this.
True story.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. On that note, Steve, thank you again. Where can our viewers find you next, and where can they find out more on your campaign for Congress?
Well, I do have a website. You can find me. It's very simple. It's my name, Steve Rance, and my last name is spelled R-A-N-C-E. So it's steverance.org. There's information on that site there on how you can contact me, and I encourage contact. I'm not one of these people that shy away from questions or shy away from whatever. It takes all of our ideas to make this country move forward in a positive way. Just because you submit an idea doesn't mean that I have to act on it, because I can't act on a gazillion ideas. But we take these and we formulate these and we find out what is the best resources and answers to move things forward. I want to be your representative. I've said a lot, and or if you're looking at it in the day, we'll say in the day for you. But we've covered a lot of ground here, and I really appreciate John and Mike and Joanne for having this type of forum so that we can get the true message across. You're going to hear a lot of things from individuals out of this race, but I'm just asking you to go in and check these people out. You're going to see that there's a person that ran against President Trump as an MPA, ran against this District 9 as an MPA, and now he's running as a Republican. Check this out, okay? You've got developers in here that have caused the problem in Kissimmee, and now they want to say they want to go to Washington to fix the problem. It doesn't make sense to me. You've got to do your research on who these people are. You can find me at steverance.org. So there's a lot of beliefs that I believe in, and I would be happy to disclose those to you. But we've got to have good, solid leadership in Washington, D.C. I would love to be your representative. If you give me that opportunity, I'll serve you well. My desire is Christian conservative leadership in Washington, D.C., and if God gives me the opportunity to serve him there, not only will I be serving him, but I will be serving you. God bless each and every one of you. May God continue to bless the United States of America. May God continue to bless Florida and the 9th District, and personally, may God continue to bless you, each and every one of you.
Amen.
God bless you, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Steve, thank you for joining us. Have a good night. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, let me see here. We'll let Steve off the hook. And real quick before we wrap up and plug our upcoming things, again, I'm so grateful for these guys. Steve was with us for an hour and a half. He sat through technical errors and stuff like that.
Right.
And there's probably 1,000 podcasts in Central Florida, Central South Florida he could be on, but he chose to be on ours tonight. So, again, I appreciate Steve. I appreciate all the candidates that would come on and do that for us. But in the meantime, check out our website at ircmedia.net, and that's where you'll probably find that annoying pop-up for our America 250 commemorative shirt. Check that out. I mean, buy a shirt, help support us. If not, you can check out all the other stuff on the website, like some of the latest articles we've put out, podcasts like TGI Now, Binford Chronicles, some of friends and of affiliates like Conservative Blitz, and there's a few others on there. But check out the website, ircmedia.net, and make sure you like and follow the show wherever you are if you're not already. And we appreciate you. You guys got anything else before we go?
No, that's it.
Nope, I'm good.
That was good.
Okay, so the next show will be TGI Now podcast on Tuesday in the 8 o'clock hour.
Yep.
We should have...
We have Chris Olson going to be a guest. Chris from the Conspiracy Club.
Oh, cool. So
cool.
that's coming up in August also. And then Wednesday, we have To The Point podcast. We should have the full crew this week. That's Wednesday in the 8 o'clock hour. Joanne, you do your show in the 8 o'clock hour on Thursdays, right?
Thursdays at 7 o'clock I go on. Thursday.
7
So
o'clock.
if anybody wants to come on and talk about the farmers here in Florida, come join me. Go to JoanneBinford.com or
get
Binford
Kelly
Chronicles.
Yeah.
Get Kelly Jackson on with you.
Yeah.
She's wanting to start the back in the day Pioneer
Podcast. Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. So anyway, look up BinfordChronicles.net or BinfordChronicles.com.
Awesome. And then again, Friday we'll be here at 7 o'clock with Marcus Carter. We'll confirm that, of course, but as of right now, we'll have Marcus Carter next week. So
Yeah.
we continue with our candidate review series. We're not going to get to all of them, but
No,
primaries just in a few weeks. But
Yeah.
these are the guys that reached out to us and wanted to come on, and we're happy to give them that opportunity. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, thanks for being here tonight.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
See you on the other side.
Yep. No.
Oh, we're still alive. Hold on.
No, you're good. Oh, there it is.